My name is Rita Morbia, and I have the privilege of being the Executive Director of Inter Pares. I want to welcome everyone here today to our 40th anniversary celebrations. And they're entitled, as you know, The Future of International Solidarity. Solidarity can mean different things to different people. The social justice activist Feroz Manji once wrote that solidarity is about establishing cooperation, about taking sides in the face of injustice or the processes that reproduce injustice, about raising funds that others can use to fight in their own battles, about taking action within one's own terrain that will enhance the capacity of others to succeed in their fight against injustice. I know that for Inter Pares, the solidarity that we have experienced began with many people who are in the room today, and I want to acknowledge you. First, our loyal and committed donors who are critical in the alchemy of social justice. That is, contributing your own resources to be transformed into actions that foster peace and justice. I want to acknowledge our counterparts based both in Canada and around the world, whose courage and conviction guides, informs, and inspires us all. We'll be hearing some of these incredible voices this afternoon. I want to acknowledge the public officials who we work with, who understand and share in our common goals. I want to recognize current staff who work incredibly hard and are amongst the closest to the day-to-day trials, tribulations, and triumphs at Inter Pares. I couldn't work with a more competent, a more thoughtful group of people, and sometimes we even have some fun. Our volunteers, foremost amongst them, the board of directors, freely give of their time in so many ways to help ensure that we sail in the right direction, even when the seas are rough. And I want to acknowledge the contribution of former staff and board, who I still consider close allies. Each and every one of you have made a unique contribution to build Inter Pares into what it is today. So whether you are long-standing collaborators of Inter Pares or whether you're new and are just finding about us today, I want to thank you for being here. We're excited about the program. Next up will be a short video followed by a dialogue amongst our accomplished panel members who will be up shortly. My colleague Eric Chauchette will be moderating, and then we'll have a participatory discussion. And I encourage you to share your thoughts and reflections during that time. And to close off, a traditional dance, a gift to honor the space we're in and the land we're on. And then lastly, we'll have a reception where I hope we can continue some of the conversations that we start in the afternoon. We wanted this 40th anniversary event to be a dialogue and a collective contemplation of our past, present, and future. First, where we've come from, what the past 40 years have been about, what we have to celebrate, what we have to mourn, our rich and full history, an analysis of where our social justice work is rooted. Second, we wanted the event to be about the moment we're in, to take a collective breath, to be present in the here and now, and observe what is happening around us. And last, but perhaps most important, we wanted this to be about the future. If we want equality to be the norm, to be a global imperative around the world, then where is our activism headed? Where should it be headed? What needs to change? And just as importantly, how is that change to be manifested? The concept and practice of solidarity is central to these questions. And in this reflection of our past, present, and future, we wanted to hear stories. Stories of our guests who will be here today, and your stories if you feel moved to share them. And together we hope to weave together the story of 40 years of Inter Pares, of social justice action, and perhaps catch a glimpse of what the future of international solidarity holds for us. So why stories? Why are stories so important? The essayist Rebecca Solnit has considered this question, and I want to quote from her recent book, The Far Away Nearby. She writes, "What's your story? It's all in the telling. Stories are compasses and architecture. We navigate by them, we build our sanctuaries and our prisons out of them. And to be without a story is to be lost in the vastness of a world that spreads in all directions like Arctic tundra or sea ice. To love someone is to put yourself in their place," we say, which is to put yourself in their story. Which means that a place is a story, and stories are geography. And empathy is, first of all, an act of imagination, a storyteller's art. What is it? And it's also a way of traveling from here to there. She writes, "What is it like to be the old man silenced by a stroke, the young man facing the executioner, the woman walking across the border, the child on the roller coaster, the person you've only read about, or the one next to you in bed?" We think we tell stories, but stories often tell us to love or to hate, to see or to be blind. Too often, stories saddle us, ride us, whip us onward, and tell us what to do, and we do it without questioning. The task of learning to be free requires learning to hear them, to question them, to pause and hear their silence, to name them, and then to become the storyteller. It's quite an evocative quote. Now, the video you're about to watch tells one story, the story of Inter Pares, and it tells many stories about those who are struggling to do great and sometimes impossible things around the world. It is about courage and belief and feminism and justice and so much more. Each and every one of you is part of that story, and I challenge you to think about how you've been involved and how you'd like to be involved in that story. So I hope you enjoy it, and thank you.